Good morning, esteemed educators, senior colleagues, and my dear friends. Today's topic is the role of technology in enhancing learning outcomes. As Mahatma Gandhi, our father of nation, has given a quote, be the change you wish to see in the world. Now, why this education has to be technology related? It relates to management, information and communication tools, learning communities, knowledge building tools. It is bears with the common interests and personal learning networks, information, data, and resources. Then you have it of experience and authoritative source, mentors, and coaches. Now, what is when we talk about it as what it is benefits of technology in education, enhancing the learning experiences, increased engagement. As we know this, today's learners of 21st century, they have interactive stimulations, glorified learning, and multimedia content capture attention and motivate the students. Then you have personalized learning. As the learners, we see so many varieties of learners in our day-to-day life. We can adopt adaptive learning platforms, tailor content to individual needs and paces. Improved collaborations. Online platforms and tools facilitate teamwork and knowledge sharing. As we know with the COVID-19, during the pandemic, we had with the online platforms. And everyone of today's generation of students and learners are more accustomed to the online platforms. Access to information. Digital libraries, online resources, and research databases provide a wealth of knowledge. Skill development. Technology fosters essential 21st century skills like critical thinking, problem solving, and digital literacy. Now, examples of technology in action. How can we use the technology in action? Learning management system like Canvas, Moodle, organize courses, deliver content, and track progress. Interactive whiteboards. As we have seen in the pandemic during online platforms, we were able to engage the students with multimedia presentations, collaborative activities, and real-time feedback. Virtual and augmented reality. Impressive experiences enhance understanding of complex concepts. Educational labs. Gamified learning, simulations, and interactive exercises makes learning fun and engaging. It always makes the learners more and more because the learners are always curious to learn what they want to learn about it. And online collaboration tools, Google Docs, Padlet, facilitate group projects and communications. So they are well accustomed to it of online communications or online collaborations. Now, what does it talk about? Student, teaching with technology. What do you get it? Like with the students, it's learning styles, technology skills, and technology access. With the content, what do you learn with the students? How? Cognitive levels, discipline. Instructor, what is that as a teacher, as a part of it, of using the technology? Role as a teacher, technology skill level, and time availability. And technology types and its users makes it a lot of difference with it. Now, technology uses in the classroom. You have a personalized learning because each and everything, instead of writing on the board of the content of what you're going to teach about it, you can give more and more time to the learners as part of it. So you can have universal design the learning. The National Education Technology Standards for Teachers has been given. So learning through discovery makes it a lot of fun for the learners to motivate themselves, and that makes it as educational technology as a tool with it. So what is technology can enhance learning about teaching and learning? It provides multilateral material types for all learning styles and enhancing communication between faculty, student versus student, promoting constructive and active learning, and enhancing collaborative teaching and learning, promoting higher expectations via peer review and feedback, providing prompt progress information and enabling stronger group collaboration, promoting and fostering lifelong learning. That makes it a lot of difference for the technology, which makes it learners a much more successful with it. Now, in return with the technology, we face some addressing challenges, what it relates to. Overcoming these obstacles, what are these? Digital divide. It ensures equitable access to technology and internet connectivity. So whenever you have access to technology, how you have to process with internet connectivity is a major guideline with which you have to give it to the learners about it. Teacher training. Teachers have to be provided with professional development to effectively integrate technology into teaching practices. They can put it on lesson plans or they can use it as a teaching aids, a kind of a tool for it as a part of it. So it creates a teacher as a professional development for effectively teaching and making the learners more motivated and able to access for an easy learning. Data privacy and security. So nowadays we have seen that the data has to be protected in every construction software. So it is very easy for the teachers to know about how to protect or to give the instructions to the student data and maintain a safe online learning environment. Over-reliance on technology, maintain a balanced approach that complements traditional teaching methods. So we can go both simultaneously with both the things as part of it, of maintaining a balanced approach, which leads to it a particular kind of a thing. So like we can make it up a balance of implementing a more of basics of, both kind of a traditional and kind of talking about the new type of learning. Now, the feature of technology in education. It is shaping the future of learning. So artificial intelligence and machine learning will personalize learning further. Emerging technology and data security. The integration of technology will continue to transform the learning landscape. So how can you put with the artificial intelligence and machine learning will personalize with the learning with the further? Now, as artificial intelligence, we know it is more than a tool. It is a catalyst for breaking free from standardized methods to enables learning experiences that are dynamic, adaptive, and deeply personalized, paving the way for curiosity and creativity to flourish and root memorization. So it is very easy for the memorization, for the learners, for the present kind of a thing. What makes this revolution truly remarkable is not the technology itself, but its ability to humanize the education and making it more empathetic, because nowadays you have heard the terms of empathy as a part of it: empathetic, inclusive, and responsive. AI doesn't replace education of empowers educators, it empowers them, freeing their time to mentor, inspire, and nurture. The future of education isn't about adopting AI for the sake of it, it is about collaborating with its unlock the full potential of every learner and shape a world of limitless possibility. So it is a kind of one where you talk about it. Now, how do we talk about is putting it up best practices for using technology in the classroom. When using technology for teaching, there are four basic principles which have to be kept in mind. Alignment. Technology should be used for a purpose, not for the sake of being flashy and not as a distraction from other forms of pedagogy. Accessibility. Be sure that the technology that you intend to use is accessible to all the students. Next, when you talk about assessment. As with lectures, discussions, and labs, provide your students with guidance when dealing with media technology. So when we talk about lectures or discussions and labs, so you have to give a clear instructions to the students that how to use the technology, when how to write the exam. See, there are a lot of online exams when are going for a competitive exams. They have started with it during the pandemic. So many of these things has been a part of it. So we cannot get away after the pandemic and we cannot say that we don't use the technology right now and we move on with the traditional kind of an approach with it. So we have to make the, because as the learners are very curious about learning, it is our time to tell them. And as the teachers, we have to guide them with the correct instructions and guidelines for them to use the technology in the best possible way. to use an exam and how to be enough making for the students more comfortable with it. Reinforcement, when we talk about technology, should be used as a reinforcement of and supplement to your teachings. So it is always like that. It is like when I've given the quote, the P, the change in the world, when have quoted with our father of the nation, it is the same thing where you have to use the technology as a reinforcement and supplement to your teaching about how you want to make it as a reinforcement part of it. Now, so it is always a question of learning, like how you want to learn about it and how you want is the part of it. Because the future of technology in education is about the future of learning about it. So when we talked about artificial intelligence, now when we talk about it of data security, where we are talking about it, because as the learners are going higher and higher, they learn more about it because it is today's technology is about artificial intelligence. The teachers can learn about it, making it artificial intelligence. They can take the guide or as a helping or teaching tool aids for making their lesson plans or making them the lessons as progressive as they can so that all the learners can be more enthusiastic and more involved in picking up about its learners about it. So this is about the future of the technology where we are talking about it. Now, more about it when you're talking about education as a part of it. Like what do you do as about it? It is transforming your information about it, assisting the practice of specific skills. It is a contribution to the provision of feedback, how you come with it, of how the teacher has learned. And today's learners are very much enthusiastic and they are today's generation where they feel they can give easily back the feedback and how they progress about. So, and the issue of the teachers or the mentors you talk about is the need to reach out to the maximum number of students to offer greater opportunities for independent studies. You can make them to make up like you can make them as a presentations, PPTs, or any kind of a collaboration of as a teamwork. You may give them a topic, and the learners, out of curiosity, will make it as a collaboration about it to design, modify, and develop appropriate equipment aids suitable and relevant to the educational process. To identify what is the educational needs of the learner, it makes it through the technology. We can identify the educational needs of the learner. We can identify it can be used at particular level. Like when we talk about at the lower levels, we can talk about it at a different level of how the teaching tools can be used. We can talk about the primary level. It can be used at a different level. If we talk about middle schools, we can use it about a different level. And when we are talking about senior school levels, the technology can, you know, increase it according to the standards of the particular time. To evaluate the effectiveness of the teachings and strategy in terms of learning outcomes. To provide appropriate feedback to students as well as teachers. To modify the teaching learning processes on the basis of feedback received. Now, the scope of what you talk about educational technology based on individualized and social needs. Accordingly, that you can spell out the educational goals and objectives. Smart use of technology reduces wastage time, energy, and money. And there you can use your curricular development also, planning of curricular and co-curricular inputs in order to realize planned goals and objectives. So this also can be a process of your curriculum development when you it makes it very easy for the teachers as particular to use it. So developing teaching learning materials and resources. It develops necessary learning materials in the form of program learning ebooks, computer learning packages, mass media instructions, individualized self-instructional packages, etc. It develops human resources like it covers the area of teacher education and developing strategies, teaching strategies, approaches, and methods are devised and developed catering to different types of students. Then you have developing multisensory needs. develops and designs develops of audiovisual aids. Like sometimes when the learners like to see it audiovisual and they try to learn it. So it is very usefulness when we use multisensory aids. Feedback mechanism and modification. How do we use the mechanism and modifications use? ET develops a tool of evaluation to provide the feedback. So you can use it after teaching a part of a lesson of a part of it. It develops, you can use it a tool of evaluation to provide the feedback whether the learners have learned or not learned it. Then develops passive instruction services. Educational radio, TV, computers are used for transporting information. Earlier, we used to have the TVs and radios as more of transmitting information, but today's time, we have computers as a part of it. They're passive services, since all decisions are in the hands of the providers, that is what to be presented for and how long and how much consequences and when. It develops interactive instruction services. It tries to provide opportunities for learners to control the pace, mode of presentation, example, computer assisted instruction, teleconferencing via internet, etc. It develops learning environments. It develops learning environment that are learner friendly, example, simulation. Developing information resources. ET bridges the gap between developments in information technology and education. So you have like e-libraries, online encyclopedia, World Wide Web, which makes it much more easier for the technology to be used devices. IT has developed a communication devices for students who have mental capability to communicate but are not able to speak. So it leaves it for the learners who are not very fluent in the communication skills. It makes it much more easier. And when you have the communication devices, they get the confidence while listening also, they can have the communication development as a part of it. It's programmed to reduce the burden of teachers. It is supposed a teacher in teaching learning processes. So in the teaching learning processes, the technology really helps a lot for the teachers, like as they can make it as the technology as a part of a teaching tool or a teaching aid for it for the learners to learn in better. So always it's a part of it where we talk about as the things. And then lastly, technology is a powerful tool for learning. It offers numerous benefits for improving student engagement and achievement. It's an effective integration where careful planning, professional development, and addressing the potential challenges. So we have to see about how the professional development can be made for the teachers and addressing whatever the potential challenges. Because in every aspect, when we see it as a teachers or as a mentors, or we talk about educators, or we talk about the stakeholders of the education systems, it is always that we face with lots of challenges as the time goes with a new technology. So we have to come together all together and we have to have a careful planning and which leads to our further teachers as a professional development, and we can address the potential challenges what we are facing with the learners of the present generation. The future generation of the, we can say the future of education lies in harnessing the power of technology to create personalized, engaging, and effective learning experiences. So the learning experiences makes them with the technology that the learners are accustomed to it. Because right now they are with the part of it of post-pandemic, it is very difficult for the learners to go with the phase and we can't go to the old traditional methods, but we have to balance both the traditional and the modern way of teaching by using the technology. So the balancing where we can have an effective learning experiences where the learners can feel at ease and can learn much better as part of it. And they feel that the educators and the learners are going on the pace of on the same platform where they are teaching the today's education as a part of it. So this is what is my presentation. So anyone with the question and answers, please proceed with it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Nirmala. Can you stop sharing the screen?
Yeah, ma'am.
I have received a couple of questions from other speakers, ma'am. The first question goes like this. Can you
Yes, ma'am.
elaborate on how technology can personalize learning experiences for students with diverse learning needs?
Yeah, ma'am. With the diverse personal needs, what happens is when in the old traditional methods is that we use the blackboard or we use a whiteboard in writing with it, whatever it is. Half the time we are either controlling or we are, trying to engage the students in when we are writing in on the board. But when you're using a technology, your eyes are on the students. So you know that which student is trying to concentrate or not able to concentrate. So you can relate to a person because in every class, two or three students will be there who will be hyperactive. And we have to manage that so that it makes a balance in the classroom. So it becomes this technology, what it becomes like if either use as a PPT or you use as a video or you use an artificial intelligence, or if you give this hyperactive student, like you give him a work and giving him a proper guidelines and how to make it or how you can help him or how he can help you in the technology, it will be very curious because he will be very curious to know. And half of the time in the class, he will be more concentrated in helping you out how the things have to work it out. And he will also work it out. When the learners become collaborative with the teachers, the learning becomes more effective.
Right. So, ma'am, how do you envision technology integrating with traditional teaching methods to create a blended learning environment?
Okay, fine. Like, for example, when I'm teaching a lesson, a part of it, or if I'm teaching a lesson, if I relate it to something about science or something about, okay, science, you can take it to the nature and make them learn about it. But if I'm making them to learn something on English or a literature or kind of a social sciences or any subject where it becomes very boring. Like if I go on lecture with it like that, it becomes very boring for most of the students. So if I use a technology like in a part of it as a part of a video, or if I can use it as a PPT, or if I use it as a kind of a tool of a map of holding him, like what it leads to that and all, it becomes more interesting for them, for the learners to learn. So like I can make them involve or I can make them like earlier we used to make a role play or earlier we used to do a lot of kind of these things where half the children used to get involved with their curiosity and all and half who are not interested about it. It becomes very difficult to control the classroom. So we can make them, the children, to involve themselves in the technology as if they are, they are presenting it of the document of what they're able to learn. If I give them a proper feedback or a kind of a lesson when I tell, okay, this is the king, this is the war which has happened, and this related to this. If I give them a proper guidelines for them, they will come out with a lesson about it, what they have to teach about it. It becomes much more easier for them as a part of it when you talk about in devices about it.
Oh,
So
okay.
not totally depending upon it. Instead of it, like a like as I am a mentor, I am trying to uh, give them a platform or giving them a correct instructions how to go with it to use the technology. So
So,
they are
how do
going to
you assess the effectiveness of technology in enhancing learning outcomes, ma'am?
enhancing outcomes. You can say like when I'm giving them some work of technology of it, and the first thing is the student is involved in it in learning about it. So he will be doing a basic research work before he goes to find in presenting something. If I ask him to present something tomorrow, so he will do his research work. He will do his homework with a curiosity of what has happened exactly or what happened after the war, the resulted has happened. What could have affected with it in relating to the modern wars which has been presently going on, which has recently been happening with the West Asian countries, or if I war. So how the war is it? The picture, see, nowadays the learners, the span of their learning is very less. Like the attention, span of attention is very less. So when I have to make them observe with what is happening with it, I can make with the modern examples relating to it with the part of it of the past, what has happened in the past. So as a technology, I can make them curiosity is one thing which develops with them. What could have happened? They will do the research work and they will come with the answers with it. Instead of me teaching as a lecture method of giving it everything in board with this is what has happened. But that is what I said. It all depends upon each level of learning when you're talking about. With lower level, with the middle school level and the higher school level. So accordingly that you have to make them. And nowadays the learners are much more proactive when we talk about it. What happens is the retention period will be there with them because when they do the work, the retention period will be more with them because they have used their own research and they have come with their own works. Instead of me giving it as a part of it, of giving it, the retention period will be hardly will. Then they will memorize it or they will become a parrot kind of a thing where they will just memorize what the teacher has told and they will just write it off. Instead of it, it is more efficient in me keeping it in the retention so that that is more important with it, which he will, like you can say, he will be having that retention period for a longer period of time. Wherever he grows and wherever he moves it on, he will use it very carefully.
Okay. So, what are the key challenges educators face when implementing technology in the classroom?
Basic challenges they face is about because nowadays what has happened, the students are more prone with this technology and all. They know more than the educators know about it. So point about it is very difficult. It is very, very efficient for the teachers or the mentors who are giving it. They have to give a clear-cut instructions how to use the technology because there is a technology can be used in a different directions and it can lead to a lot of issues and it can lead to a lot of problems with it. So it is very, very important for the mentors or you can say the teachers have to give a very clear instructions how to use the technology. And that makes it a lot of, you can say, more effective for the teachers to making it part because your communication makes it for the learners as a part of a proper instruction. Like because the teachers in the lowest levels are kind of a thing, they really feel that the teachers are the best thing. Whatever the teacher gives the instructions, they feel that they have to follow it. So the same thing if it continues with the higher level, the middle school level and the higher level, it makes it very much for the learners to develop the instructions to be given very effectively. So that means the teachers have to give to be upgraded with the time and being with because that relates it to the, you can say the stakeholders of the education system where they have to give a proper training to the teachers as per the requirements and when the changes happen. So
Right.
it is like every year, this year it might be different, but the next year the changes can happen. Anything can happen because the technology as part of it, it is changing world. So we have to be updated. And every time the updation has to go simultaneously. We have to be a step further than the learners because we cannot be at the back of it because the half the some of the times it has happened the learners have been telling us like what you have to do with the screen or what has to be done with it. Instead of that, the educators or the teachers have to be more advanced in learning the technology and using the technology. They have to see the pros and the cons about it, like what leads to the positive feedback and what goes with the negative feedback.
Thank you, ma'am. Last question, but not the least. How can educators and policymakers work together to create a framework for effectively integrating technology into education?
Already the computers as a part of it, as a system of it, it is a learning process. So in the computers, when the other subject teachers come in, it can be integrated. Like we have come into the integration of all the subjects also, we have gone through it. So in that way, the integration has to go with all the other subjects coming in, where the teachers have to like move on with it so that they work together, because see, everywhere, every part of a location will be having a different problems. So everyone should be the educators or the teachers, and what all the problems they face, they come together, they discuss it, and then they try to resolve it. That is the best solution with it. Because today I might face a problem in my field or my part of it, but in somewhere else, someone else can face some other problem with it. So all together, we have to come together and work together as a part of it, because we are working for the first thing we should remember, that we are working for the learners, not for anyone. Then it will be a collaboration of everyone, of educators, teachers, and students.
Right,
So we
ma'am.
should work together effectively.
Thank you, Miss Nirmala. Thank you for the wonderful talk.
Yeah, thank you,
You
ma'am.
have answered all the questions. Those were repetitive, but still you have patiently answered and elaborative answers were given. And anything else to mention, ma'am, before I end the session?
No, ma'am, nothing else, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for giving this
Thank you. I'll
opportunity.
end the session.
Thank you, ma'am.